Notice I did not print these on the front and back. If you would like to, I meant to bring it. If you want to get your own 3-ring binder, I'm going to give you a handout every week. You will not get it ahead of time. That was the commitment, if you remember, that we made to one another, is that I don't have time to get right ahead on all of this. So if you will let me bring it every week, and we'll study it through that week. And I think that's going to work well as I prep for this class. But I will bring a 3-hole punch, okay, and we'll set it on one of these tables. And every week, if you want to bring a 3-hole binder, like old school class style, you can punch it and you can keep it. Or you can throw them away after class. I don't care. I really don't.
Old school? We take offense at that. Or
You don't...
There's no problem with this.
I could handwrite, as I've gone through the bulletins from the 1960s and 70s here at the church, they were handwritten.
Oh, God. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, it's crazy, crazy stuff.
Cool.
Yep. Okay, let's start by reading the Bible. What do you think? I missed you guys. Revelation 4. We've already covered 1 through 3. Remember in our churches series? Boom, boom. All the way at the end, Brandon. All right. After this I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven. Then the voice I had first heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this." At once I was in the Spirit, and there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. And the one who sat there had the appearance of jasper and ruby. A rainbow that shone like an emerald encircled the throne. Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and seated on them were 24 elders. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumblings, and peals of thunder. In front of the throne, 7 lamps were blazing. These are the 7 spirits of God. Also in front of the throne, there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. In the center around the throne were 4 living creatures, and they were covered with eyes in front and in back. The first living creature was like a lion, the second was like an ox, the third like a man, the fourth like a flying eagle. Each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings and was covered with eyes all around, even under its wings. Day and night they never stopped saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come." Whenever the living creatures give glory and honor and thanks to Him who sits on the throne and who lives forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before Him who sits on the throne and worship Him who lives forever and ever. They lay their crowns before the throne and they say, "You are worthy, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power. For you created all things, and by your will they were created and have their being." Let's pray. Father, we've heard your word this morning. Thank you for the vision that you gave your servant John. We come to see your throne. Let us glimpse it this morning. It's through your Spirit and the Son we pray. Amen. All right. Well, that's a good start for us, I think. We're going to spend the rest of the year. I'm going to have it on YouTube every week. We're going to cover... I was going to print you out the schedule. There's 1 week that I'm gone, that we're not going to have class. I'll bring the schedule next week. I'm sorry, I forgot to print it out for everybody. I need that. How do I do this? I don't think I can print from here. Titus, you want to run into my office? Google Docs schedule, like search Revelation schedule, and it should be in there. Should come right up. And then print like 20 of them or something. Thanks, man. I'm going to miss not having an intern this summer.
What are you going to do?
All right, I'm going to give you... I want to start with this. How do I want to start with this? Okay, I've said this statement before, and I'm going to say it again. I am now... I well over 20 books that I have read on Revelation. including 13 commentaries is what I'm working out of, okay? Every week when I read through all of these texts. Now, I have some commentaries that I found after being in it this long that I like better than other ones, right? So I go to those first, and the other ones, you skim through. I don't want it to, because they're saying this, a lot of them are saying the same thing, right? But some aren't, and they're giving you different views and different opinions. I want to say this about Revelation. First of all, it's not Revelations, right? I'm going to say this in the sermon again. It's revelation. It's the revelation, which is a genre of literature. Okay? If anyone tells you, I know exactly what this means, you put down whatever device you're listening to YouTube on, because that's probably where you're finding that, okay? And ignore it. When every scholar who's dedicated their life to studying these texts say we don't have a consensus or a clear picture of what this represents or means, then probably that's what it's intended to be. Okay? God is too big for us to fully grasp and understand. Amen? Amen. Okay, but at times He gives us, through the use of our imaginations, through color, through, the pictures in here today, right? Through beauty, through these moments, He gives us pictures into His abundance, okay? And that's what we're going to see. And so I'm going to do the best that I can to say, here are a wide variety of voices, of different versions of interpretations of what this might be, okay? But the thing I want us to not lose sight of is to get buried into the details of something, like why is there eyes even underneath the wings, right? And instead keep the big, broad view of Revelation. To do that, yeah.
Is there a consensus as to why Revelation is there? Why we have it?
Yeah. I think at the end of this class, you're going to be like, oh, that's why it's here. But after a year of studying it, there's images I have in my mind and my heart now that I see all the time. Okay, the last time I was at a baseball game, I was like, I won't tell you if it was good or bad, but I was like, oh, this is the image of, I don't know, it was like Revelation 14, I think, or something. But I was like, oh, I'm seeing this image. Right? Am I seeing it exactly? No, but it's like a faded, like a filter that's put over it, right? Does that make sense? And that's why there's so many things you're going to see like that. That if you will embed yourself into these images and not look, because what we want immediately is the answer. What does that mean? But that's not the genre, right? If Jesus wanted absolute clarity of all of these images, He would have just told us. Are you with me? What He wants are stark images. Okay, I'm going to talk more about this in the sermon, so I don't want to get too buried in it. But yeah, that's a good question. And let me give you, I want to encourage you to read. I'm going to offer my 4 favorite books. These are not commentaries, but these are books that I have read and I have loved. This is probably, if we go from like beginner to, let's say this is written at a undergrad level of writing, but it is absolutely my favorite book that I've read. This is by Michael Gorman. It's a book called Reading Revelation Responsibly. Michael Gorman's one of my favorite scholars, period, biblical scholars, period. So you can even, he's got some wonderful interviews that if you want to YouTube his name and put Reading Revelation Responsibly, you'll find some wonderful interviews. But this book is excellent. It kind of gives you that big picture that you're talking about, like why is it there? That he's going to argue why it's there. He takes interpreting the book, I'm in the middle of the paragraph, as a serious and sacred responsibility. I just pulled the, whatever on the description. Believing how one reads, teaches, and preaches Revelation can have a powerful impact on one's own and other people's well-being. Gorman pays careful attention to the book's original historical and literary context, its connections to the rest of Scripture, its relation to Christian doctrine and practice, and its potential to help or harm people in their life of faith. Rather than a script for the end times, this is one of the things I love about Gorman, rather than a script for the end times, Gorman demonstrates how Revelation is a script for Christian worship, witness, and mission that runs counter to culturally embedded civil religion. Now, the only thing that I don't like about Gorman is he's pretty sold out on the civil religion concept. He doesn't allow a lot of other avenues of interpretation. So, but this is one of those books, I just finished it when I was at my brother's house. I'd read most of it. I just put it down and I was like, everybody needs to read this book. That's how I felt about it when I was down. And I was like, and it's written, I don't know how to get everybody to read this book. That's the preacher's heart, right? Like, how do I take this and then teach it? Yeah.
What do they mean by civil religion?
The worship of civil religion. So so in the ancient world, you have no separation of church and state. Are you with me? So like even the major religious practice of Rome by the time that Revelation is written is emperor worship. So it's civil religion. Now he makes some contentions, if you read the book, that we tend to slip and slide into these same categories as well. I might elaborate on that in the sermon today.
Okay.
You might kick me out of the church afterwards.
Amazon, we can get these.
All of them on Amazon. This is another one. I think I have a hard copy of this one. If somebody wants to borrow it, you're welcome. I have it on Kindle too. This is a book called Revelation for the Rest of Us. This takes a lot of Gorman's thought. Scott McKnight's a wonderful New Testament scholar. He's up in Chicago. He's worked at Northern Seminary. I can't remember where he's at now. I've had the chance to be in class with him a few different times. He's a wonderful teacher and pastor. He's got a pastor heart, which I appreciate. But this book is probably like a more easily accessible version of Gorman's work. They kind of have the same heart and the same approach to it. So there's another one. I highly recommend that. That's a pretty good one. He gets a little jumpy. Like he jumps around from place to place a little much for me. Gorman stays a little focused. The next one that I'm not all the way through this one yet. Because I always pick one book and don't finish it before I do a sermon series, and then I read it chapter by chapter for my week of study. Does that make sense? And so this is the one that's guiding me through the rest of the sermon series. See the Strange. This is your base. I call it Pop Christian. This is your Pop Christian book. It's really wonderful too, though. Very readable. I'm pretty sure it's a series of sermons that he turned into a book. You know which is great. It's wonderful. If you've read preachers' books, most preachers who write books, their books are just their sermons series, right? So I really recommend that one. It's a easy access, very readable. And then my last one, sorry the images are so blurry on this. I should have pulled a better one. This is an old one now, Eugene Peterson. He's the Message writer. He's one of my favorite preachers, pastors. He passed away a few years ago. Spiritual giant, wonderful man. But he's also a poet. Like his writing is just gorgeous. So I recommend it too. It's a little longer. Yeah. There's one other one by a guy named Greg Stevenson I didn't put up there. This one is... No, I'm not going to give you this one. I'll tell you about it. It's called A Slaughtered Lamb. And he contends that the book of Revelation is supposed to help us with the question of evil and suffering. Okay? The standard question that every atheist loves to ask, if God is so good, then why do bad things happen? Okay, and Stevenson, he's at Christian Church. He's in, anyway, he teaches New Testament, but he offers like kind of an interpretation of Revelation as that. Okay, let's jump in. Read any of those. If you choose one to read and you want to talk about it with me, I will happily have coffee with you about Revelation. I will not happily have coffee with you about Revelation unless you are willing to read one of those books. Are you with me? I don't care what your YouTube guy says. All right? I'm on YouTube, so I shouldn't right now, so I shouldn't maybe say that. All right, let's start. Let's just start with our imagery. We're gonna fly because you have the notes and I have the notes, and I want to make sure we always have time every week for like the big picture to pull our heads out of the weeds. So let's start. John Okay, remember we have an apocalypse. Then he talks to the seven churches. Everybody with me? And then all of a sudden we get this shift, this movement. So he's shared the word to the seven churches, but this isn't a new book. This is the same apocalypse, okay? The same revealing. And now he moves in and he says, after this I looked and behold, okay, there was what? A door. Sweet. All right. Remember before, what has he seen? He's seen Jesus sharing a message to the seven churches. And now I look and behold, there's a door and a voice speaking to me like a trumpet. That's from Revelation 1. We're not going to go back and cover every image, but it's Jesus speaking, like the one speaking like a trumpet. And it says to him what? Come where? Yeah, come where? What? Up. Up. Why up?
Heaven's up.
Heaven's up. Is heaven up? I don't know. Seven's up.
Of course.
But in the biblical narrative, right, Titus, consistently, where's heaven? Up. Okay, so we know he's about to open the door, and what are we going to see? Okay, let's have a good clear of what is heaven. You can do it in one sentence. What? Good. Heaven is the dwelling place of God. It is where His will is fully and completely accomplished. In contrast is what? Earth, or the world, right? And that's where we dwell, where His will someday be fully and completely accomplished. But in the meantime, evil, chaos, Satan seeks to reign. Everybody with me? Okay. So he looks and he beholds. Now, is this a future reality he's talking about? Doesn't seem to be. Yeah, it seems to be a present reality. I looked and I behold, and he opens the door. At once I was in the Spirit. This is Ezekiel language. Okay. At once, you remember in the prophet Ezekiel's carried around by his hair. By who? The Spirit. The Spirit of God picks Ezekiel up by his hair all the time, which I love. And then he puts him down. At once I was at the Spirit, and there before me, this is the first thing that he sees when he looks into heaven. And what is it? An angel floating on a cloud. A what? A throne. A throne. Now I want you have the notes on this. Here are the amount of times that in the book of Revelation, the word throne occurs. Not bad, huh? 75% of the uses of the word throne in the New Testament occur in Revelation. So what do you think might be one of the primary themes of the book of Revelation?
A throne.
A throne. See, we're already there, aren't we, John? We're already seeing something. We're like, hold up. When I look up in heaven, I see a throne, okay? And this reminds us, not for us, but for the ancient readers, let's go to Isaiah 6. We are going to jump around a little bit. We've got 20 minutes. We'll just start in verse 1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw who? The Lord, high and exalted, seated on a throne. Now we're going to go ahead and read some more of this because we're going to see all this imagery again. And the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him were seraphim, each with what? With 2 wings they covered their faces, and with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they were flying. And they were calling to one another, "Oh, holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory." That sounds familiar. But it's a little different too, isn't it? Why is it different? I know, keep a finger in Revelation.
Who was and is and is to come.
That's right. Yeah, in Revelation you have the addition of who was and is to come. All right. And then he continues, at the sound of their voices, the doorposts and the threshold shook, and the temple was filled with smoke. Woe to me, I cried. I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty. All right, that's pretty good. Now we get the calling of Isaiah, or the calling of Isaiah that takes place next, right? Here am I. Everybody loves that passage. Before that even happens, you see just a glimpse. So remember, for all of John's readers, that as soon as they look, they open the door and they look into heaven and they see a throne, and they're thinking what? Isaiah, right? Isaiah. They're thinking Ezekiel. Turn over to Ezekiel.
That's what I thought of when
Ezekiel?
Ezekiel.
Yeah.
That's in their place.
Yes. Ezekiel has the double. I love Ezekiel. Keep going. After you lament, you turn to Ezekiel. Where do I want to go? Do I want to go all the way to?
Daniel. Oh, there it is.
Okay, let's start. We're going to start in 1:1, but then I'm going to jump ahead pretty quick. All right, just bear with me. All right, stay with me. In my 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day, while I was among the exiles in the Kabar River, the heavens were opened. Sound familiar? And I saw visions of God. Skip to verse 4. I looked and saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like the glowing metal. Who is this? Yeah, this is God showing up, right? And let's keep. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal, and in the fire was what looked like four. Yeah, in their appearance, their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, their feet were like those of a calf and gleamed like burnished bronze. Under the wings on their 4 sides, they had human hands. All 4 of them had faces and wings, and the wings of one touched the wings of another. Each one went straight ahead, and they didn't turn as they moved. And then he describes each of the 4. Well, let's just do it because we're going to need to get there anyway. Their faces looked like this. Each of the 4 had the face of a human being. And on the right side, each had the face of a lion. And on the left, the face of an ox, and also they had the face of, what does that sound like? There you go. Such were their faces. That's what God's going to say to me someday. Such was his face. Each one went straight ahead. Okay, let's scoot ahead to verse 25. Verse 25. Then there came a voice from above the vault over their heads as they stood with lowered wings. Above the vault over their heads was what looked like a throne of lapis lazuli, and high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal as if full of fire, and that from there down he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him, like the appearance of a what? Rainbow in the clouds on rainy days, so was the radiance around him. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell face down, and I heard the voice of one speaking. And then you get the calling for him as well. So the throne here looks like what? A throne of lapis lazuli, like this great crystal, these emeralds and stars. So you get this imagery. For us, we're like, we read Revelation, we get to chapter 4, we're like, what's going on? But when they read Revelation, when they heard the apocalypse, and he said, there's a door opened in heaven, okay? He doesn't say the heavens were opened, but what? There's like a trap door, and I get to glimpse inside, and then he sees what? Well, they know what he's about to see. Are you with me? This wasn't surprising language for the early readers. He is entering into the throne room of God. This is the imagery of Isaiah. This is the imagery of Ezekiel. And it's stark and it's beautiful. Let's hit a few other things. We have these three translucent stones. You can study these on your own this week if you want. But most of them only exist in Revelation or are referred to in Revelation. Jasper, ruby. Does anybody have sardis, a sardon? What do you have? Sardis. This is our town. Sardis seems to be named after this. This is some kind of, we translate it ruby or something like that. We don't know exactly. It's only used 2 times in the New Testament. They're both right here in Revelation. 4 times in the New Testament, we have this jasper. Jasper comes from hyasper. Okay, hyaspis, jasper. Are you with me? Same word group. Revelation, that's the only time we get these occurrences. And then this image of a rainbow of emerald. It's so beautiful, isn't it? This is the word for rainbow here is iris. Isn't that where we get iris from? It's only used 2 times in the New Testament right here and in Revelation 10. And then we get that, we've already seen that Ezekiel language, but of course where do we get rainbow language?
Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis, the flood story. And the rainbow is sent what? Some think this is a prism rainbow. So the idea is that the light is reflecting through all of these emeralds and all of these jewels, okay? And then as it does that, what happens? Separates the light, right? And then you get all of these colors, these beautiful scenes going on there. Questions about this? I want to keep us moving a little bit.
Well, I thought, in Ezekiel, the other time when that same vision is when the spirit left the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, as I'm thinking of this, and it said that there's a door open in heaven, that moved right up into heaven, the same throne that was,
Yeah.
where God was supposed to be dwelling.
Yeah, so for the Jewish people, they think of the temple as you get 2 different modes of interpretation by time of Jesus, but let's put it this way, simply. It's like reflects the glory of heaven, right? So the temple is the footstool of God, right? But whatever you see in the temple, in the most holy place, is just a reflection of the true heavenly reality of those things. Okay, this is the background to Hebrews. But yeah, that's a good. Other thoughts? Here, we're going to keep moving.
A rainbow is, Noah was a sign of a promise.
That's
from
right.
God. And so this reminds me of a promise that we will see.
Yeah. What else do you see there that might be related to the Noah promise?
Within the emerald.
There's something else too, though. What's the main theme in Noah? Flood. A flood is full of what? Water. Do you see any water in Revelation 4?
Oh yeah, the crystal clear lake in front.
Yeah, there's a lake, but what's up with the lake?
Oh, it's a sea of glass clear.
Sea of glass. Any water skiers in here? Oh man, there's nothing better than early morning, right? When it's just no wind has come up yet. If you really water ski, you are out early and just crystal. And that's the imagery here, right? It's like some contend it's like a sea of jewels, but I don't think so. The image is the water, which is chaos throughout the ancient world. I mean, everybody thinks of it. I mean, every religion, Akkadian, I mean, all of them, right? And here, whereas the water is completely tamed and it's completely still, and maybe this rainbow promise is echoing in the back of the stark images. Okay, let's keep jumping here. I know. You can dig into each of these. This is why I'm printing all these notes for you. You can this week go dig into all of them. I'm going to hit on this first one in my sermon today, so we're going to skip it now. These 3, why these 3 jewels? The breastplate of the high priest carries all 3 of these. Okay, so you could think, we have the imagery of the breastplate of the high priest, or what most scholars do, and I think this is a better way to do it, is to understand that the breastplate of the high priest is reflective of the imagery of God in his temple. Are you with me? But I think there's something here. 1 Timothy 6:16 is the Lord is radiant light, right? And the idea here is a God who transcends even our ability to see him. Okay, I saw one who was like. Who's seated on the throne? Do you notice this? I don't talk about this in the sermon. You don't see him, do you? You go to look at him, but you don't see him. You see the throne. You see all the elements of the throne, but you don't see him.
You see a figure.
You see a figure. Yeah, in Ezekiel, like a man, right? You see a figure. And you see the throne and the description of the throne. And then we move to who's around the throne, right? And this is really important. The literary structure carries the rest of chapter 4 because we get first the 24 elders are introduced, all right? And then the 4 living creatures are introduced. Then we get the song of the 4 living creatures. This is a chiastic structure. Remember we've talked about, makes a X. Okay, the song of the 4 living creatures, and then we come back to what? The song of the 24 elders. So the imagery is of the throne, and we expect the whole rest of Revelation to talk all about God, right? But instead, what do we see? Who is surrounding the throne? And next week, we're going to get to who's seated on the throne. Okay? Can you shut that, Dale? Somebody's vacuuming. So here's our 24 elders. You get them mentioned 3 times. This word for surrounding is an interesting word. It only exists 3 times in the New Testament, and they're all in Revelation. It's not a word that's common. Let me slow down. This word, kuklathin, okay, means to surround. Okay, but it means like to completely surround. Some scholars contend it means to surround and to surround and to surround. Okay, so this is worship in the round. Are you with me? Somebody's in the middle, and not just around them in one spot, but around them and around them and around them. Like a sphere even, on all sides. Right? They're surrounded. Okay, and it's very, very uncommon in the New Testament. Only exists in Revelation, but it's all over the Septuagint. What's the Septuagint?
Greek translation.
Man! Woo! All right. It's all over the Septuagint, and most importantly, I think is most interesting, is most commonly used. You can see there's 69 uses in the Septuagint. I just pulled a few, but 1 Kings 7. Anybody want to take a guess what's happening in 1 Kings 7? We're not going to turn here, but it's used all over 1 Kings. The building of the temple and the description of the most holy places, and the cherubim are surrounding. And then in Ezekiel, we already saw it once here. What? Our vision of the heavenly throne room. And then in Ezekiel 41, we get the same imagery of the cherubim that are... Let's just turn, because turn to Ezekiel 41. This is the description of the new temple, okay? Let's do in verse 8. I saw that the temple had a raised base all around it, forming the foundation of the side rooms. It was the length of the rod, 6 length cubits. The outer wall of the side room was 5 cubits thick, and the open area between the sides of the room, and that's our word here, the surrounding of the rooms, and then he goes on, were so many cubits wide all around the temple, all around the temple. Okay, you see it? It's so even in the description. So I think John is intentionally using Septuagint language with this word. It would have stuck out. This word would have stuck out to those readers. They would have had these images in mind. So who are they? Who are the 24? All right, I'm going to give you a few theories. The most prominent theory is that these are human beings. Okay, here's kind of support on this. Angels don't wear crowns, and we see the 24 elders are doing what? Wearing crowns and sitting on thrones and things. So we don't ever see angels wearing crowns. We don't see them sitting on thrones, and we don't really see them anywhere else called elders. That's pretty strong support for me, okay? But maybe not. We'll see. They also, in Revelation, the only white clothing is worn by the saints, okay, the holy ones, all right? Now that takes into factor, that's like a self-defeating thing. Are you with me? Because if this is describing like angelic beings, then, well, that's not a true statement. Okay, but all the other places that you get white clothing, you get them on the saints. Okay, many theories, and I think there might be something to this, is that this is the 12 patriarchs and the 12 apostles. So what you have is the fullness of covenant support, the crowned ones. Why? These were the kings of Israel, and then these were the 12 apostles. I think maybe. I think this one's super interesting. Turn to 1 Chronicles with me. I know, we're everywhere this morning, aren't we? We're running out of time. Go backwards. It's right before.
Good job, Carol. High five. Yeah.
Oh, is that the right? The 23rd and 24th to Messiah. Yeah. Okay. It goes further than this. This should go through 18, but. So this is the division of the priests, and they divided them impartially. I'm in verse 4. Well, I can start in verse 4. A larger number of leaders were found among Eleazar's descendants than among Ithamar's, and they were divided accordingly. 16 heads of families from Eleazar's descendants, and 8 heads of families from Ithamar's descendants, making 24. They divided them impartially by casting lots, for there were officials of the sanctuary and officials of God among the descendants of both Eleazar and Ithamar. And then he goes on and names all of the 24. So the priesthood is divided into 24 heads of the priests. Everybody there? Keith, you got a question, or you're just holding up? Okay. So there might be, this might be alluding back to this division, because where do we see these 24 presbyteroses, these presbyters? Around the throne. Where would the priests have served? Around the throne. Okay. But this doesn't, okay, let's keep going. They also could be angelic beings. Okay. For instance, a good example is there's just no other human beings in Revelation 4. Mentioned, right? We have the 4 living creatures. But also that's self-defeating, right? That's the same circular argument. Okay, Isaiah 24, 23 might call angels as elders. Okay, you don't have to, you can go look at that text, but in the Septuagint, the word for presbyterus, that's our Greek word for elder, presbyter. Okay, Psalm 89, 7, you have a council of the holy ones, which refers to angelic beings, and they're referred to as holy ones. Okay, everybody with me? And then in Colossians 1:16, many scholars believe the angels are included among the thrones, powers, rulers, and authorities. Okay, so there seems to be some evidence from at least New Testament theology that angels held some enthroned position. Okay, and also, only humans wear white in Revelation, but throughout the rest of the Gospels, we see what? We see angels in white all over the time. Actually, when you think of an angel, you probably think of, white clothing. Okay, so what are we supposed to make of all this? This is Grant Osborne's quote. He sees the key as actually what we need to focus on is the word elder. All right. A presbyteros. And he says this, their primary role, what do we see about these presbyters in Revelation? Their primary role is that of worship and praise. See all those references? Those are all Revelation. In addition, they serve as intermediaries and interpreters. A close examination of these texts show a distinct differentiation between the elders and the saints. Okay, so the saints don't seem to be the same as the elders. In 5:8, they hold golden bowls that contain the prayers of the saints. Okay, so a presbyter, an elder, is holding the what? Prayers of the human saints. Are you with me? Okay. In 7:13 through 14, one of them explains who the victorious saints are. In 11:18, they thank God for rewarding the saints. In 14:3, the 144,000, this is us, right? This is the faithful church, sing a new song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and before who? The elders. Okay, and in 19:4 they join the heavenly chorus. The elders are seated on thrones. We see that again in chapter 11, while the saints stand before the throne in 7:9. From this evidence, it is more likely that these are heavenly beings who reign with God and are part of the retinue surrounding his throne. Moreover, since all the angels also stand before the throne, these must be celestial beings with some kind of ruling function. Okay? And so I think the image here, if we get, man, this is going to be a fight all fall, isn't it? We're skipping the glass stuff. You can go study on those. But then we have these 4 living creatures, okay? So we've already had these 4 living creatures. You saw them in Isaiah and Ezekiel. There's 3 major views on who they are, all right? The Babylonian background, this was strong. Anybody heard of a Babylonian background to the four? This was like, I heard preachers preaching this. Titus, you've heard this too. That you have the four corners of the zodiac, the signs. So you have Taurus as the ox, Leo is the lion, Scorpio is man, and Aquarius is eagle. Here's the problem. The eagle is never correlated with Aquarius in any Babylonian text. Okay, so if this is the reference, and this is the four signs of the earth, right? North, south, east, and west. The four corners is the imagery. Are you with me? Everybody follow me here? So many have supposed they're using Babylonian language, which of course is Ezekiel, is Babylonian background, Isaiah too. Everybody with me? I'm getting like this like blank look from all of you. Okay, but we don't, the eagle's never represented there. So it would be we had to have been an addition. It might have been. It was also common in Assyrian Babylonian imagery to have these winged sphinxes and lions carrying thrones as cherubim. Like we see this imagery all over the ancient Near Eastern world. There's always, you come into some temple and you dust everything off, and what do you have the image of? These thrones and then these crazy creatures that are surrounding the thrones, which show power and authority and might, right? And that the emperors, the kings are supreme beings. Everybody with me? Okay, but I think the representation is best understood. I like this interpretation. There's definitely this background, but I think if you just step back a second and you see four creatures, what are the four creatures you see? A lion, an ox, a human, and a eagle. Okay, so you have a lion, which is a wild animal, right? King of the wild animals, right? And you have an ox, which is a what? Domesticated animal. Not only just a domesticated animal, but it's not a cat or a dog. It's the king of the domesticated animals. It's a worker, right? Domesticated, yep. And then you have man, which is another being that is entirely different from the wild animals and the domesticated animals. Job has the book of Job has a very strong distinction in its theology between domesticated and wild animals. That was a major distinction in the mind. Actually, if you read any pre-industrial society, there always is a differentiation in how you treat wild animals versus domesticated animals. Okay? Wild animals are never sacrificed in any culture or religion. Never offered as sacrifice. Period. Globally. Isn't that crazy? I was just reading about that this week. And then the fourth animal is what? An eagle, which is the king of what? The USA. Thanks, Titus. See, this is America. This represents America right here. I've heard that interpretation. You have the four, epics of time, and this is now the American. I don't know. Maybe it's right. I don't think it's right. But what do you have? Is the king of flighted animals, right? They're still land animals. They're not fish, but they're land. And so what I think you see, if you put all of this together, so what's happening here is John gets to peek into heaven. And when he peeks into heaven, he sees the throne. And we're going to see who's on the throne here in a second. It's going to be shocking. You don't want to miss next week. It's going to be shocking to you. Okay? It's not who you expect. It's the beauty of Revelation. But right now you just see the throne. It's incredible. It's beautiful. It shines. It radiates light all over the place. And then there's worship. And you have some weird all-seeing, right? Eyes all over them. All-seeing, representing every living creature. All of the living creatures. And everything in all of creation. What do you hear? You hear them singing, but what else do you hear? What?
Their wings.
Yeah, their wings are flapping. Yeah, what else though? What does Revelation 4 say you're hearing the whole time? The thunder. Yeah, you're hearing claps of thunder. And there's lightning all over, which is in the ancient world. What do you think? You're thinking about like all of the animal world and all of the what? Celestial world, right? You have rainbows and you have thunder and lightning, all of the weather. And all of it's surrounding where? The throne. And what else is surrounding the throne? All of those who serve it. The 24 whatever heavenly beings. If they're human or they're heavenly, it doesn't matter. What are they all doing? Worshiping. Everybody's worshiping the throne. Even those 24 elders who sit on the throne. Did you ever hear the phrase, you're adding jewels to your crown? Have you ever heard that? Oh man, my mother-in-law still uses that one all the time. It drives me crazy. It's such bad theology. It's not. I guess it's good. It works. But even in that imagery, what are they doing with their crowns? They're casting them down before the throne. Right? When you see the heavenly reality, what do you see? King of Kings, Lord of Lords. There is one throne, one supreme throne. Man, as Christians, this is why Revelation. As Christians, man, we need this. We need to peek into heaven. Right? There's one throne. One throne. It's beyond our description. But everything that has ever been created, everything that has its being, is worshiping that throne. Okay, bye guys. Revelation 5 next week.
Brandon, I got one question.
Shoot.
I knew this was going to be good, but are we supposed to be right now feeling like overwhelmed and blown away?
Yep.
Okay, good.
There will never be a moment in studying Revelation where you don't feel overwhelmed and blown away.
Okay.